Severe tropical cyclone packing wind gusts of up to 320 kilometres per hour is bearing down on Western Australia's northwest coast this morning as authorities warn lives and property are at risk. Communities on the Pilbara are already feeling the effects of Cyclone Zelia, and the destructive inner core of the Category 5 system is forecast to cross the coast between De Grey and Karratha this afternoon or this evening.
An emergency warning has been issued telling people across Pardue to Wim Creek, including Port Hedland, to take shelter.
The intensity of Tropical Cyclone Zelia means there is a significant threat to lives and property, and I urge people to follow the directions of emergency services in the Pilbara.
This system is likely to produce very heavy rainfall, and areas of the Pilbara, particularly close to the path of the system, could see in excess of 500 millimetres during the course of this event. This very heavy rainfall, falling on already wet catchments, is likely to result in significant flooding.
I'm particularly concerned about Port Hedland. If it were if the track was to shift more to the east, and we would see a significant impact onto Port Hedland. I think the housing stock, the building stock in Port Hedland's a bit older than what it is in Karratha.
Now, we're going to have a lot on this story throughout the morning. We're going to be crossing live to our reporter on the ground in the Pilbara very soon. But here's how residents in the region are feeling.
Come on quite late. We've been a bit unprepared because it's sort of turning more towards Karratha now. So we're just coming to get the sandbags because we're in a low-lying area.
This is probably the biggest one we've had, I think we've had here. But the last one's pretty similar. In the past years we've had to do the same, so yeah.
Just because I've got kids at home, so yeah, we're just like deciding whether we drive north or stay here, so I think we're going to stay here, but we'll see how we go.
Especially we go to the stores as everything is finished, the people is panically buying everything.
I wouldn't say concerned, I'm a little excited, but yeah, it's kind of the unknown.
I never feel something like this because you never know what's going to happen, you know, so yeah, pretty scary, yeah.
Nate is on his way to Karratha this morning, so Steph has stepped into his shoes for us. Where is severe tropical cyclone Zelia right now?
Yes, Catherine. Well, at the moment, we've just had another update from the Bureau of Meteorology, and it is just starting to track southwards. It's still about 120 kilometres north of the country over the Pilbara coastal waters, so north-northwest of Port Hedland, and it's moving slowly, less than walking pace, which means it continues to be fuelled by that warm, moist air, so no let-up from that Category 5 intensity, the strongest on the Australian tropical cyclone scale. And you can see on the satellite image that this is an absolute monster. At the moment, as we've just heard, it's packing wind gusts near the centre of about 285 kilometres per hour. And when it does cross the coast, as you've just mentioned, between De Grey and Karratha this afternoon or tonight, that's when we're likely to see the strongest and most destructive wind gusts, strong enough, the Bureau of Meteorology warns, to destroy anything in its path, and it's really difficult to fathom just the power that it's going to have. It's also going to dump a lot of rain as it moves through as well. We've already seen parts of the Pilbara get about 220 millimetres in the past 24 hours. We could see this region receiving anything up to 500 millimetres in coming days. That, of course, increases that significant flood risk for the area.
Thank you so much, Steph. Well, commuters in Sydney are in for another day of disruptions on the rail network as industrial action resumes. Myles Houlbrook-Walk is at Central Station. Good morning to you, Myles. Just how bad is it looking today?
Catherine, it's looking diabolical. We have situations where the entire suburban and metropolitan network is experiencing either delays or major delays for commuters, as well as cancellations. Now, Transport for New South Wales is urging people who usually catch a train to avoid doing so unless there's urgent travel and to seek other alternate options for transport. Now, why is this industrial action having such an impact? Well, it depends on who you ask. The government, through its Transport for New South Wales body are blaming it on mass staff absence due to industrial action. However, the rail unions who have had these negotiations fall over just late last night after delaying strike action say that's not the case at all. The planned industrial action was only going to affect the top speed at which trains travelled at, and as such it was actually a decision by the government to issue what are called lockouts to staff, which means that you won't be paid at your full rate or not at all if you take part in these industrial actions. That has prompted some people to say, I'm not coming to work, and as a result, if the government withdrew those lockouts and let people come back, that would allow the train system to flow better. Already, though, the effects are being felt quite acutely here, and it really means caught between these two, perhaps on Valentine's Day, grumpy lovers, the government and the union. The real loser are commuters, who are now having to bear the brunt of delayed services and indeed mass cancellations. Catherine?
Myles, grumpy lovers, I just hope you're not one of those, because we have to cross to you again in the next hour. Thanks for the update.
Oh, Catherine, it's lovely to be with you on the couch on a Friday morning. It is Valentine's Day, of course. We've been asking people out there, do they love it? Do they loathe it? Tell us what you think. You know how to reach us. And I just love the way Myles puts things in perspective for us.
I do. He was talking about urgent travel, and there's a lot of urgent travel today.
Yeah, we are thinking of you. If you are trying to get to work in Sydney this morning, hey, let's get some more news now, because there are fears that the United States and Russia, who have agreed to talks to end the war in Ukraine, will end up rewarding Vladimir Putin for an illegal invasion of another country and, of course, the killing of thousands of civilians. Ukrainian officials, including President Volodymyr Zelensky, have described the talks as a betrayal, saying a peace deal made without its nation's involvement will not be accepted. After having a rare phone conversation with Mr. Putin, US President Donald Trump said negotiations to end the war should begin immediately.
Australia has been warned that the Pentagon's proposed peace plan with Russia could embolden China to be more assertive in the region. It comes as the Australian Defence Force monitors Chinese warships that have reportedly completed combat exercises in the Pacific Ocean, and a Chinese fighter aircraft releasing flares in front of an Australian military plane during what the defence describes as an unsafe and unprofessional interaction in the South China Sea.
And we will have the Defence Minister on the program a bit later. Now, multiple bushfires on Tasmania's west coast have burned through more than 70,000 hectares of land and property. Firefighters and emergency services will be working through extreme heat conditions today as they try to bring the blazes under control. An emergency warning is in place for the ecotourism destination of Corinna and its surrounds.
The ABC's chief election analyst says Labor looks set to retain the seat of Werribee following last weekend's by-election in Melbourne's southeast. More than 2,000 postal votes were added to the count yesterday, with Labor's John Lister extending his lead over the Liberals' Steve Murphy by another 152 votes. Despite this, analyst Anthony Green says Labor has suffered a swing of 10.2% in the once safe seat.
Two Sydney nurses who made threatening comments to Israeli patients in an online video have been suspended from practising in Australia. The Nursing and Midwifery Council of New South Wales has deregistered Ahmed Rashad Nadir and Sarah Abdulebder effective immediately. Health regulator APRA has confirmed they have updated the public register for practitioners.
Data from the Australian Council of Trade Unions reveals more than 100,000 retail workers in Western Australia could be affected by a bid to abolish penalty rates. The state's peak union body, Unions WA, says Fair Work is considering a case brought by the National Retail Association, which could lead to the loss of penalty rates and other worker entitlements, making lower paid workers much worse off. The matter is due to be heard in March.
Victoria Police is investigating a fatal car crash in Melbourne's west overnight. Authorities believe the three-car collision in Laverton North occurred after a vehicle crashed into another before hitting a traffic pole and then a stationary car. One person has died and another is in hospital with serious injuries.
And love is in the air for internet sensation Pesto the penguin this Valentine's Day. Yep, the one-year-old king penguin who went viral last year has lost some of his baby fluff. What a guy. And he's been spotted with a new love interest. His carers at Melbourne Aquarium allege a female penguin named Pudding is often caught flirting and canoodling with Pesto, which they hope will lead to a baby when the couple is a little bit older. What a presumption. I know body language. Pesto's the flirt, not her.
Oh, OK, you're blaming Pesto.